the last time we had just kicked off the district phone system upgrade, and just wanted to give a quick update again a month later, the overview and where we're at in the status of what we're doing. Why we're replacing the phone system, like I said last time, it's old. It was originally put in 2002. The last updates were probably 2006, 2007. It's been a long time, and it's definitely needed. So what we're doing, we're replacing the core systems. We're doing core systems at South ITV, Fulton Holland, making sure that we have a redundant system, making sure that we have failover in case of an outage, just making sure that we have as resilient of a product as possible. With that, we're working with AT&T and Avaya, which is also our current system, but just working with them to get to the latest and greatest technology in today's world. So what we're doing is replacing the cores and replacing any hardware and any phones that are out at the schools. With this comes the elimination of dialing 1 or dialing 9 to get out of the schools. So it is a little bit of a change for the folks that are at the schools, for the teachers and principals, and just a change for them and how they operate and do business on a daily basis. How we're doing this, like I said, we started with the cores, and we're going school to school, school by school, replacing hardware and phones at the schools, going to the latest technology from PRI, the primary rate interface, which is old technology, and going away to SIP, which is Session Initiated Protocol, which is all network-based, giving us opportunities to add other things onto the phone system after we get the infrastructure piece in place. We'll be able to add IoT devices. We'll be able to add security systems. We'll be able to add other things once we have this in place. So things are going well. Last time we started with Dwyer, that was our first pilot school. Since then, we've done 12 sites, so things are rolling. It was said yesterday in our meeting, keep your hands and feet in the cart, because we're definitely moving. Key project accomplishments. The cores are in place. Things are operating very well. We're not seeing any performance issues. Things are going extremely well as far as the systems and uptime. The pilots were completed. We started with Dwyer, Jupiter, Palm Beach Gardens. Those were all successful, and we learned from those. We have, I think it's like a 17-page checklist of things that we go through every time we go out to a school. And, we've learned from that, and it's getting better and better every time we go to a school. We started with the large schools, North Region high schools, and we're working our way back south. High schools were first. Originally, middle schools were to come next, but with testing coming up, we wanted to make sure that we had as little impact to the schools as possible. There should be no impact at all with changing out phones and phone systems, but we wanted to minimize the impact. So with that, we decided to do elementary schools in the spring, and right now we're working on that schedule, doing site walkthroughs, checking on what they have existing in the schools to go forward with the replacement. We've run into some things like wall mounts in gymnasiums and things of that nature that a school walkthrough first gives us the opportunity to be ready when we go out and actually do the change at the school. High schools are progressing as expected. We're definitely on schedule. The scheduling has been usually one per week. At times we're doing two. Mr. Campbell, we just did your school yesterday. To my knowledge, everything went very smooth. And they're on site again today to make sure that there are no issues. And if there are issues, we have somebody actually on site to mitigate any problems. And we're doing that at every school. Other accomplishments, the eFax upgrade that was completed in August, that was district-wide. And Some of the issues we ran across at the schools was the Red Sky 911 notification problem. We had a problem with that. With 911 calls were always going through, but it was the notification to the school principals, to the district staff, that a 911 call was placed on campus. We've mitigated that with every time we go to a school that we make sure that the systems are reset and online again. We have no problems with the new system. It's with a pull of a school from the old system. 911 is never affected, but the notifications were, and we have mitigated that issue as well. So like I said, we're also identifying the requirements for the elementary schools moving forward. We have one more school upgrade this week, and it's Glade Central. That will be the last high school, or the last school that we do for the year, with vacations and winter break, and people taking time off and just kind of shutting it down for the end of the year. And we start right back up the first week with Dreyfus and keep moving forward, Lake Worth and the other schools. Call centers are another upgrade that we've been talking about. We have a weekly meeting with AT&T and Avaya, identifying issues. Al Yannick is our project manager. He runs a great meeting. He's been fantastic on this project. We have identified some problems with the call centers. Some of the machines are still running Windows 7, so the software that's on that machine, when they upgrade to Windows 10, Chris, we've been working with Chris's team to schedule that out, and we're collaborating to make sure that when we go to Windows 10, that the software will work on those machines as well. This is our timeline. 12 sites have been cut over, one of them including McKesson, and we've done 11 of the high schools out of 23, so we're almost halfway done. When we complete Glades today, we'll be over that it's Friday. We'll be over the halfway mark for the high schools. We hope to have all the high schools done by March, and then, like I said, we're going to kick into some of the elementary schools until testing is over with, and then go back to the middle schools, and hopefully pick up the speed as the school sizes get smaller. We have less replacement of phones. We have less replacement of hardware, and hopefully we can kick up the schedule a little bit, and then with summer coming, hopefully we can get more sites done as well. Overall, things are going very well. I have, at least I hope they're going well. I think they are. The feedback that we get is positive. If there are problems, we've heard very few. We do have people on site after the upgrades, and we tell them, make sure to contact us with any problems. When we do the replacements, we put, with every phone, we put a packet down with them. These are the changes that have happened. There have been definite communications with the schools. Anytime we go out to a school, we communicate twice with the principal. We communicate to the school the week before. We send them packets. We send them information. Communication is key on this. We post things to the district digest. We have a FAQ page out on the district hub. We try to make communication a key for all of this, and people understand that this is coming and that it is happening and it has to happen. So communication has been huge. Communications department has helped us with graphics and bulletins and documents, things like that being sent out. So things are going very well, and I'm very happy with the way this project is moving along. That's all I got.
Question? No questions?
I'm just really impressed how you guys are handling it. It's a big project, and it's going very smooth, knock on wood.
It's huge.
I think the way you pre-stage it and go into a school and bust it out over a couple of days is just great job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we have a quorum.
Thank you. So seeing that we have a quorum, let's go back to the start. I forgot to ask if there are any public comments. Is there any public? No. Any conflict of interest declarations? Seeing none. I'd like to go back to 1.03, approval of the October 2nd, 2019 meeting minutes.
I'll move.
It's moved.
Second.
Seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Thank you. All right, so now to our action item, item number 2.01, the PeopleSoft Enterprise Performance Management Suite.
Yes, good morning. I just wanted to give a little opening here, and then I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Heather Knust, our budget director. I just want to talk a little bit about our district budget. So when I joined the school district in 1998, one of my first jobs was I created like a series of spreadsheets, and that's when we develop our budget each year. We're still kind of heavily dependent on these spreadsheets. 20 years later, the budget's grown considerably, but we essentially kind of distribute individual files to every school and department. So 180 plus schools, about 60 departments, and we gather data, and then we feed that in, and we link it back to larger spreadsheets, and we go through this process, and eventually the data gets uploaded into our PeopleSoft system, and that creates the budget that, and gives us the budgetary control and all that. What we're looking at is, and we haven't rushed this decision. It kind of reminds me of the SIS project, where we've hung back for a while. We've gotten the most we can out of using these other tools, and we've kind of waited for the technology to evolve to truly meet the needs of a large school district. When we put PeopleSoft in 2006, there was a budget module, but it was not geared towards K-12 really at all. And we tested with it and we looked at it, but we never really used it. It didn't meet our needs. So we've kind of hung back. About 5 years ago, Oracle has put out a new product, a cloud-based solution, and we've worked with other districts through the Council of Great City Schools that have had some success with this product, and now we feel comfortable. We feel like it's the right thing to do. And I don't want to take too much of the presentation, so I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Knust, and we'll be happy to talk about in a much greater level of detail.
So Mr. Burke has given you a good overview, and he's not really taking credit. The spreadsheets we're still using now were the ones that Mr. Burke developed back in 1998, and we've only expanded them. And during that time period, our budget has more than doubled. We went from $1.5 billion to $3.5 billion. Cloud service now it was in its infancy back 5 years ago, so now it really is a proven product. This EPM product is being implemented or has been implemented at over 56 school district and governmental agencies across the country. And because this is considered an upgrade of an existing product that we have that PeopleSoft is no longer enhancing, we're able to get a credit for those modules that we're no longer using. So we're using over 500 different Excel sheets when we compile the budget. And this is really a high-level overview of what our process is. From there, we have all the different formulas built into the spreadsheets. We take information, extract information from the SIS system, from other different systems throughout the district. We run it through all the different formulas and macros within the spreadsheets. We then create PDF files that are put out in the share drives for each of the schools to view. So a principal has to go in, view their PDF document, then they have to go into PeopleSoft, they have to run a position status report, they have to look and see what positions we decided in the budget department to just add, which positions we decided to freeze because it's arbitrary. And from there, the principals then have to say, no, I didn't want you to add that type of position. I didn't want a math teacher. I really wanted a science teacher. So they either have to email us or send in a trade-off form for us to make that change. For positions that we froze, they said, no, we really didn't want you to freeze that position. We wanted you to freeze this position. Same process. It's a manual communication through the school. From there, those changes are, like I said, submitted through either email. For departments, they're submitted through Excel or through the e-form process, the trade-off form. Those they're not only routed through my department, they go through the instructional superintendent, up through the deputy superintendent to the budget department. They're manually processed, input by the budget department. Then we go and we update the PDF document put it back out into the school share drive for them to view what changes we made and whether those changes are actually accurate. So it's very labor intensive and manual, and the principals, it's very hard for them to have transparency and oversight over the changes we're making. So we would be able to take all of the processes that we're doing now that are all independent and not integrated in any way and have it all integrated within one system. So we would be able to integrate with HCM, so when the principal is looking at their budget within this product, they would be able to see all of their positions. They would be able to go in and make the changes as to which positions they would like frozen, which positions they would like added. We would still have workflow in for certain types and levels of approvals and different changes, but it would take out that whole manual piece of the principals having to go into different softwares in order to run and view their positions. What is also beneficial with this product is not just budget and planning. It now incorporates account reconciliation, the year-end financial close, the monthly account reconciliations, and also the narrative reporting. So it's not only going to be utilized just by the budget department, it will be utilized by the accounting department as well as the treasury department. We use a lot of the same information when we're reporting, and now if we were able to house it in one location, if the accounting department happens to make a change on the square footage in fish, for example, and we're all pulling that data from the same place, all of our reports would be updated with the same information, so we wouldn't have any inconsistencies between our reporting. So we've gone through, since this is a product, since it is an upgrade of an existing product, we went through with their certified resellers of the Oracle product. We requested a quote from both Mythics and DLT. So we took the quote of the better of the two quotes, and then we're also able to apply the credit of $64,000 a year, and that's an ongoing credit for the life of the product, the time that we're using this cloud-based software. So the total cost over 5 years is $1.3 million. It's $255,000 a year. And this was included within the 5-year capital plan. So the first piece is purchasing the software, and then from there we'll be doing an RFP for an implementer. So we are working on, we're hopeful to go to the board. It's on, this software contract is on the December 11th board meeting. We're working on the ITN and the scope of work for the implementer, but we were waiting first for approval of the contract. And we would be going live in FY22 budget. And that way we would be able to utilize and use FY21 as really, in a sense, a parallel, because FY21 budget development will be done with our normal process. We'll be able to use all the same data. We'll be able to extract the same information from SIS, running simulations to ensure that all those different formulas and rules, because that's the most difficult part of it, is building all of those rules that we have within those 500 different spreadsheets within the system. So we would be able to verify that everything is being calculated accurately based on rerunning the FY21 budget. So are there any questions?
Well, as you can see, I had a lot of them, as did Mr. Shaw. First thing I got to ask is, Mike, did you ever get certification for all the work you did on Excel? You certainly should have. And Heather,
I was thinking, looking back, I saved some money.
Yeah, that's true. And Heather, I appreciate you taking the time, or your staff taking the time to answer all of these things. I think between looking at that and the board report, most of the questions were answered. As you know, Mr. Shaw is very school center focused, and he was had some concerns that the schools were not initially brought in on this. So I think from his perspective, there are two key items on a go-forward basis we'd really like to stay on top of. And one would be the reaction from the school centers when they use this, and making certain that everything is covered there. So any reporting back to us that you could give would be appreciated. And then the training process itself, and making sure that goes through well. I did notice when you talked about the AP, school secretary, and bookkeepers, as you know, each center has a unique set of people that deal with the budget, so I didn't know if you were going to do that by position number, each school identifies their own, how you were going to do that.
Each school will be able to identify their own. There will
Okay.
initially be 2 licenses per school site, and there might be some of the high schools are larger and might have more people that are working and accessing their budget, so we would be able to add some additional licenses at those larger sites.
Okay, good. But overall, yeah, it's certainly something that's been needed for a while, and I think it's good. Thanks for taking the time to do that.
Appreciate that. And I understand the concern about the school-based administrators and their involvement. You know, the initial decision to kind of go with this product was fairly limited because we're already pretty committed to PeopleSoft or Oracle, so we've been waiting for this tool to kind of meet our needs. But I think there's a lot of opportunity going forward as we start to, through the implementation and the design, and we look at do the fit gap and all these, the replacement. I think we can, try to get some principal representation and make sure that we involve them. And then we'd like to, we got Mr. Diast here today. We learned a lot through the SIS project in a very positive way, about what training is well received, how the schools, the open lab concept, just supporting people and working through things and having that kind of environment. And so we're going to try to, replicate a lot of the success we had with the SIS project and do that with this as well.
Mr. Chairman, I would just, from a personal, I'd like to get some of the reporting back, as each one of our meetings, just to see how things are going back on that. I'd appreciate that.
We can,
Yeah,
I think
that
it
is
should
an
be a
agenda
standing
item.
item, we'll check back.
Sure. Any further questions?
I just have one comment, or 2 comments. This is so needed. I appreciate getting to see this move forward. And I also agree with Roger that school centers are why we exist at the district level. And I know you guys know that, so we need to make sure they stay fully engaged and so forth. So today's been a really good day. I saw 2 great things. The continuation of the phone upgrade, which we so sorely needed, and this move forward. I'm tickled.
Yeah. Part of it, I know some of it seems long overdue. There was a financial piece of this as well for years, where we lost the capital millage, 25% of our revenue. We did without for almost 10 years, and then we got the referendum passed. With the sales tax, this is not a sales tax funded project. The sales tax is going to deferred maintenance and buses and technology primarily. This is a capital millage project, but had we not had the benefit of the referendum, the millage budget had been so tight during those years that we really had to put off. There was 2 things. We put it off. We wanted to make sure it evolved and would meet our needs, but there was also just the reality of, it's not easy to go to the board and ask to spend $1.3 million over the next 5 years, and on spending money on the budget to prepare the budget. Sometimes it's like the cobbler's kids are the last to get the shoes, but with a $3.5 billion budget, spending a little less than $300,000 a year to support that, I think we can make a strong argument that it's money well spent.
So what happens after 5 years with pricing?
We'd have to renew and renegotiate.
It was silent on how much they can escalate on you.
I know we're piggybacking this off another contract. I don't think at this point we have any lock-in as far as what that escalator might look like. I think we're good for 5 years, and then we've got to.
Because it'll be a big expense to implement. So just.
Oh.
I'm only biased. Maybe I should call out my bias against Oracle. Once you're a customer, they're not always as friendly as you might want them to be. And there's no other choice. I mean, you have to do it, right? So it's not like you're going to go someplace else. But just as much as you can protect yourself after that 5-year period of time before you sign this time, just that would be my only piece of advice on it.
That's good advice.
And they love to audit. So just be ready for audit of, they tend to audit around when they need money.
Yes. Well, and we've experienced some of that as we've expanded.
I think all their customers
the fees have expanded a little bit as well.
Yeah.
But something I failed to mention, I'm glad you brought it up, is the implementation is another piece of this. The $1.3 million for 5 years is a subscription. We are going to be going out with an ITN to compete the implementation part of this. And that could be not sure exactly what that's going to cost yet, but $500,000 roughly to go through that implementation. So we'll be coming back to you also to preview a recommendation with the implementation firm.
Quick question. With the implementation, would the PMO be part of that, or is that you're going to farm out the whole thing?
Well, the HCM is going to integrate, and that's why we wanted to use an Oracle or PeopleSoft product, because positions are such a large part of the school budget that the schools really won't see a benefit unless the position piece is integrated. And so that's why we wanted to stick with PeopleSoft, which is what we already have, so that will be part of the integration.
Right, I get that, but what I'm saying is, will the school district's PMO office, what would their role be as part of the implementation? Since you're going to go out for ITN, right, for implementation assistance, is the implementation partner going to manage the whole project, or will that be something jointly done with the school district?
It will be jointly done with the school district. I mean, we'll still be managing the project.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? So with the summary that was given in the discussion, does the TAC committee, would they like to endorse this project to move forward?
I move.
Second.
All in favor? We do endorse this. Thank you very much. Good update. So we'll turn the meeting now back to 3.02 for the technology conference update by Deepak.
Okay, on behalf of District Technology, I'd like to invite the entire TAC committee members to our January 6th technology conference. It's at Santa Lucia's High School from 8 to 3:30. So if you have to go to the website to register yourself, and Marlene will arrange your VIP parking pass. So let us know.
Okay. So our next meeting, I think if you remember from our last meeting, we've moved to a quarterly schedule. And so our next meeting is,
I think if there is an item, there's a possibility there's an item may come earlier in February or maybe
Okay.
in January. So I'll let you know.
yeah. So I was going to mention it's tentatively scheduled for March 4th, but please be available and read your email for updates that if something comes up that they need to get done prior to a school board meeting, they would ask us to have a meeting ahead of that schedule.
Thank you.
So we'd like to adjourn the meeting.
Motion.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you.